Hi, this is Kathleen McCullough reviewing the article I read this week on Electronic Medical Records, a Buyer's Guide for Small Physician Practices. This was originally prepared by Forrester Research in 2003, so some of the reference information is a little outdated. The authors highlighted that most large groups, networks, and hospitals have bought into EMRs, but small practices have hesitated because they're worried about cost, actual improvements, and timing. There's no compelling force, so they've stayed with what they know as it's safe and easy. But there seems to be an upswing of interest in smaller practices deciding to buy EMRs because one, costs are coming down. The authors say that processing power doubles in performance and halves in cost about every 2 years, and there are also many new vendors flooding the market. Two, return on investment is increasing as practices save time in mundane tasks and avoid claim issues, as well as increase efficiency in processing claims. Three, new studies show that the need to reduce medical errors, and EMRs help do this. Examples used were JAMA's article on adverse drug events, and reformers have long pushed for error reduction efforts. Four, there are new incentive programs and bonus programs for documenting quality care from payers, as well as adhering to medical guidelines, which adds extra pressure on physicians to buy into systems that can help show this. The authors of this article created a buying guide with the help of the California Health Care Foundation. This focused on EMRs for office-based doctors with 9 or fewer physicians. They highlighted 8 vendors that excelled in EMRs for small practices and evaluated the strengths of their current offerings, the company's strategy, and their market presence. Logician from GE came across as the leader in all 3 dimensions, followed by Allscripts Healthcare Solutions, TouchWorks, and iMedica's Physician Suite as top performers. Medical Manager's Health Systems Intergy and Amicor's clinical management software were also strong mentionables, followed by NextGen Healthcare's Information Systems NextGen EMR, Mizzy's Healthcare Systems, Mizzy's EMR, and Physician Microsystems Practice Partner Patient Records, who rate strongly in few areas. The authors also took into account the Institute of Medicine's hallmark of EMRs. They highly suggest a chosen EMR be capable of clinical decision support, physician order entry, integrated communication with labs, imaging centers, colleagues and patient communications, and population management. The authors considered all of these in their analysis. The original methodology, the authors started with a list of vendors that showed a commitment in developing systems and products for small practices with 9 or fewer doctors and who earned recognition for quality in these products. The list was narrowed to 8 vendors based on their willingness to participate. Key characteristics that were analyzed were broken into 3 parts, including current offerings, strategy, and market presence. Current offerings that reflect practical interests for the focus group were broken down into 4 parts, including functionality, usability, support, and cost. Within functionality, there are 15 key features that were analyzed, including the view or interface of problems lists, meds, test results, etc., documenting the visit and the clinical decision-making process, identifying clinical issues with alerts and reminders, deciding clinical issues with references and databases, prescribing such as authorizing refills, accessing formulary information, consulting drug databases and e-prescribing, ordering of labs, images, and other non-medications, communications with colleagues and patients, coding ICD and CPT codes and integrated coding tools such as SNOMED vocabulary control, complying with HIPAA privacy, security, consent, and authorization, aggregating data into longitudinal records that are easy to view and analyze, manage patients' disease and conditions, standardize disease management goals within the practice, query the databases to produce reports on quality of care, errors, and costs, conducting research, registry, and trial-related efforts, and incorporating information from patient devices, and so on. Within usability, there are 6 key dimensions related to the ease of use, including inputting information using a variety of methods, customizing workflow preferences, as well as accommodating new users and specialties, understanding the meaning of categories, symbols, and icons, integrating with practice management systems and claims processes, accessing remotely and on mobile devices, and processing, exchange, and storage of graphics and images. Within support, there are aspects of customer support, including installing and helping with implementation and training, obtaining prompt assistance with problems, arranging software upgrades, and negotiating deals on purchases of related hardware and software and connectivity. Cost is a large factor that varies vendor to vendor, so it's hard to compare side by side, but the authors came up with 3 aspects when comparing systems, including financial flexibility, either monthly or long-term, modular pricing as needed and as budget allows, and external support costs, which some vendors have and some do not. After verifying which each vendor had to offer, the authors looked at the company itself, including strategy and market presence. For strategy, this is how the company will fare in the future, and asking what their executive vision is for the future of medical records, as well as their place in the industry, and a product roadmap for continuous improvement in other key areas mentioned. Market presence helps gauge the staying power of the company, and the authors asked vendors 5 questions to analyze this, including what their installed base is, as of now, how many concurrent users they have, and how many licenses they've sold in the past year. Current revenues, what the revenue was in the previous year, and what their goal is this year. The number of employees that indicate the capacity to perform tasks, and the size of their sales force, indicating the ability to sell the product, as well as business partners, if they formed any meaningful relationships in the industry. The authors also created a buying guide. Many clinical offices can use this when determining which EMR is right for their practice. This is a 12-step program similar to our textbook that gives suggestions on steps to take in making these big decisions. Starting with making a list of high priority needs, any issues, and be specific on reoccurring time wasters, loss of money in certain areas, and frustration on certain departments. The list of EMR product features that are most likely to meet those needs by referring back to the 15 key EMR functions and assessing the way they can help with the list of needs. 3, factor in future requirements or contingencies such as adding more clinicians, changing office sites, and collaborating and record sharing. 4, you should write up a simple request for proposal regarding the key areas of functionality, usability, support, and cost in priority order for the vendors to address. 5, make a commitment to having doctors enter data. As they are the key stakeholders and high-end users, you want to make sure that they can use the system and they agree on committing to the process. 6, choose either keyboard or mouse and stylus or touchscreen. This shouldn't be a factor as most EHR systems can accommodate these methods. 7, test drive each system using common scenarios prepared beforehand. This will keep vendors on their toes to make sure their system can handle on-the-fly situations and verify the demonstration is not just an exaggeration of the good qualities within the system. 8, obtain 3 physician references from each vendor and visit them for real field conditions, as well as critical questioning of installation, technical support, and overall satisfaction. 9, score the competing candidates by combining the responses from the vendors to the test drives and reference checks. You can use the author's comparison tool. I'll give you the link to that at the end. 10, settle on a purchase plan, either outright purchase or an application service provider plan. ASPs are usually set as monthly payments for services over the internet as well as maintenance, and they're the most common form of plans at the moment. 11, nail down commitments on initial implementation and technical support, with written agreements on implementation and timing of data conversion, creation of interfaces, configuration of customizable components, and on-site training. 12, take advantage of a buyer's market. As there are over 200 companies at the time this article was published that claim to focus on products for this size office, you can use this as a leveraging point to negotiate a good deal and possibly add other add-on services that are usually done as a separate fee. Lastly, the authors reviewed sorting the products by finding those functions that go above and beyond the basic needs of a record keeper, will help systems stand out among their competitors, and comparing these to your original needs list will narrow down top contenders. When evaluating EMR vendors with entering and storing clinical information and enabling its retrieval of complete and accurate information during the encounter, strong EMRs help doctors to view critical information in an organized fashion, document the visit quickly and efficiently, customize the display of information depending on end users' activities, tasks, and preferences for workflow efficiency. They also support clinical decision by equipping doctors with the tools to interpret and verify decisions about patients' care, such as identifying clinical issues by means of alerts and reminders. Advanced support features like this make sure data entered is of quality and sound decisions. And the article used Logician as a great example to its sophisticated alerts and reminders. Decide clinical issues with the aid of knowledge references and databases, either with partnerships of clinical societies or references to outside clinical guidelines within the system. Exceptional EMRs also help with computerized physician order entry, allowing doctors to use the data to efficiently and accurately provide services as part of patient care, including prescribing medications within the system, not just as a standalone add-on, and ordering tests, images, and other services within the system for treatment continuation. In conclusion, the most important takeaway from this article is that it's a good time for smaller offices to buy EMRs. Important facts supporting this are that it's a buyer's market, there's research adding pressure on the need to reduce medical errors, and payers are adding incentives to increase quality of care. I think this article is slightly outdated in references to top vendors and on the market and key functionalities, but they do have a tool you can use to evaluate current EMRs, and they provide a comprehensive step-by-step guide to buying a new system. For this week, we're going over the step-by-step process of managers' decision-making. So the buying guide relates to changes within an organization and the step-by-step process that could be helpful for those managers. On the job situations, this would be a great reference tool for functionality features to look for, as well as the steps to take when evaluating vendors' EMR systems for small clinical offices. The EMR evaluation tool is located here, and it's something you can download if you'd like to look at it.